Whether we realize it or not, we're continually creating a story for our life. Often, these stories are unconscious. They're themes developed in our formative years, which are solidified through our life experiences. Depending on our upbringing and early memories, these stories we tell ourselves can be largely positive or negative. As a kid, I grew up cultivating a sense of creativity and adventure, running around out in nature and using my imagination. This set a positive tone early on in my life. Unfortunately, I also had poor social and communication skills, which were amplified when my family moved away from my childhood home when I was 12. As a teenager, I had difficulty forming friendships and tended to spend much of my time alone, engaged in art, music, or physical fitness. In three-act structure, a popular narrative writing technique, this would be called the introduction, the first part of my story. It gives a foundation for it to develop. What was your early story? How did it impact your development as a person? In the second part of storytelling structure, we get to life events which bring drama or conflict into the story. For me, that would be moving into adult life and the struggle to establish a life path. This part of the story is known as confrontation. We came across the desert. For me, that would be facing the difficulty of overcoming my internalized shame and lack of emotional connection inside myself. Here we are. Luckily, in my late 20s, I found a counselor who recommended a book called Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw.
Continuation of the July 4th, 1989 Rockwall video.
It helped me to find the courage to connect with my feelings. At the same time, I was finding my vision for life, to be an artist. I completed grad school, joined an artist-run gallery, and learned the nuts and bolts of becoming a professional in my field. This led me to get a job teaching art and to open my own gallery at age 37. So what is the confrontation in your story? What difficulties do you have to overcome? What accomplishments can you celebrate? Do you see a direction your life is taking? That gets us to part 3 of storytelling structure, what is known as resolution. This is where the story reaches its climax and resolves the earlier narrative conflicts. In my 40s, I was introduced to yoga by a young Indian teacher at the community college where I worked. And when I traveled to Vietnam, I met a young Buddhist monk who introduced me to meditation. These two practices opened me to a greater level of self-reflection, which helped to counter the narratives of negativity and self-criticism I carried from earlier in my life. That opening led me to chart a different course and to rewrite my story. made a solid commitment to the work of self-healing and began to journal regularly. Over time, I developed a more healthy self-image. I learned to set realistic expectations and maintain boundaries in my relationships. This progress helped me to look at long-term goals, such as building my brand as an artist and gallery owner. I expanded my horizons by traveling to Mexico, and last year, when I was laid off from my teaching job, instead of giving up, I began to develop a new business as a creative mentor. All of these things took work and time, but they've led me to a life that's more balanced and holistic. Today, I try my best to eat well, to get good rest, and to work at tasks which match my desires and dreams. Now I can clearly say I am on a growth trajectory. What is the resolution to your story? Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe that part is just being written. If so, then you can take the steps to write your narrative in a more conscious way. You can connect with your emotions to overcome your inherited patterns and develop your positive qualities. By growing in self-awareness, you can work with the conflict in your story so it finds resolution. If this speaks to you in some way, I hope you'll reach out by leaving a comment below or sending me a message about your own story. As a creative mentor, I work with clients to create life stories with a more positive and fulfilling purpose. If that resonates with you, then give me a shout. Until next week, keep writing that story of your life and fill it with love. Hasta la próxima. Te amo.